Hi, my name is Irit and I work in the English department at the Open University. In this video, I will show you how to take notes when you are watching a video. We call this method stop and think note-taking for listening. We get a lot of information today by watching videos. Many of you take online courses, watch lectures online, and participate in Zoom meetings. So, it is important to learn the best way to make sure we understand all the information in a video. Taking notes while you are watching a video can really help. To take good notes, we need to find out what the topic is. In other words, what the video is about. We should also think about the main idea of the video. Lastly, we want to see what information supports the main idea. Taking notes will help us understand the information and remember it. A good way to organize your notes is to divide your page or split your screen into two parts, as you can see here. The large section is for your notes. The smaller section is for labels. Labels help you understand the type of information it is and its role in the text. For example, a note may be a topic or the main idea or an example or other supporting information. All these notes can be written in your own language. By the way, you will usually need to watch a video twice to really understand it. The first time you watch it, try to understand the important ideas in each part of the video. Each time you stop the video, write down what was important and then continue watching. At the end of the video, stop and think. Look over your notes and label them. We will show you how to do this. Once you are done, watch the video again. You'll see that you understand it much better. You can also fill in information that you missed the first time. So, let's begin. The video we are going to watch is a talk by Steve Jobs. You might already know that Steve Jobs set up the Apple Computer Company. In this video, Steve Jobs is speaking at Stanford University in the US. He is speaking at commencement, a ceremony for students who have finished their degrees. We will just watch the beginning of his talk and try to understand what this talk is about. But before we begin, we recommend that you adjust the playback speed to slow down the video. Let's start watching.
The first story is about connecting the dots. I dropped out of Reed College after the first 6 months, but then stayed around as a drop-in for another 18 months or so before I really quit. So why'd I drop out? It started before I was born. My biological mother was a young, unwed graduate student, and she decided to put me up for adoption. She felt very strongly that I should be adopted by college graduates, so everything was all set for me to be adopted at birth by a lawyer and his wife. Except that when I popped out, they decided at the last minute that they really wanted a girl. So my parents, who were on a waiting list, got a call in the middle of the night asking, "We've got an unexpected baby boy. Do you want him?" They said, "Of course." My biological mother found out later that my mother had never graduated from college and that my father had never graduated from high school. She refused to sign the final adoption papers. She only relented a few months later when my parents promised that I would go to college. This was the start in my life.
What is Steve Jobs going to talk about? He said he's going to tell us a story about connecting the dots. That's our first note. Connecting the dots means showing how different facts and bits of information join together to help us understand the whole picture. What else did he talk about? He asked the question, "Why did I drop out of college?" Do you know the word drop out? It means to leave school or university before finishing your degree. To answer his question, he then tells a story about the beginning of his life. He says, "It all started before I was born." Since we don't get a complete answer to the question yet, let's just write the question down as a note. Hopefully, he will answer it later. Let's continue watching.
And 17 years later, I did go to college. But I naively chose a college that was almost as expensive as Stanford. And all of my working class parents' savings were being spent on my college tuition. After 6 months, I couldn't see the value in it. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and no idea how college was going to help me figure it out. And here I was, spending all of the money my parents had saved their entire life. So I decided to drop out and trust that it would all work out okay. It was pretty scary at the time, but looking back, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. The minute I dropped out, I could stop taking the required classes that didn't interest me and begin dropping in on the ones that looked far more interesting. It wasn't all romantic. I didn't have a dorm room, so I slept on the floor in friends' rooms. I returned Coke bottles for the 5-cent deposits to buy food with. And I would walk the 7 miles across town every Sunday night to get one good meal a week at the Hare Krishna temple. I loved it. And much of what I stumbled into by following my curiosity and intuition turned out to be priceless later on.
Did Steve Jobs tell us why he dropped out of college? I think so. So why did he drop out? Write your answer as a note. Here's the note I would write. College was wasting his parents' money. And yet, he tells us that he continued to go to classes. What kind of classes did he take? He took only the classes that interested him. Let's write that down. Let's continue watching.
Let me give you one example. Reed College at that time offered perhaps the best calligraphy instruction in the country. Throughout the campus, every poster, every label on every drawer was beautifully hand calligraphed. Because I had dropped out and didn't have to take the normal classes, I decided to take a calligraphy class to learn how to do this. I learned about serif and sans serif typefaces, about varying the amount of space between different letter combinations, about what makes great typography great. It was beautiful, historical, artistically subtle in a way that science can't capture, and I found it fascinating. None of this had even a hope of any practical application in my life. But 10 years later, when we were designing the first Macintosh computer, it all came back to me. And we designed it all into the Mac. It was the first computer with beautiful typography. If I had never dropped in on that single course in college, the Mac would have never had multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts. And since Windows just copied the Mac, it's likely that no personal computer would have them.
Funny. He told a joke about Microsoft. What kind of information is this? Here, Jobs gives us an example. What was the example about? He told us that he took a class in calligraphy. Do you know the word calligraphy? Calligraphy is a way of writing that makes the letters and words look beautiful. How does this story help him connect the dots? Remember, he told us in the beginning that this is a story about connecting the dots. He tells us that in his calligraphy course, he learned about different fonts that he used 10 years later to create the beautiful letters in the Mac computer. So, let's write a note. Calligraphy course in college helped him design the Mac computer. It really is amazing. Because he dropped out, he could take a calligraphy course, and that course made the Mac computer so special. Let's finish up watching the video.
If I had never dropped out, I would have never dropped in on that calligraphy class, and personal computers might not have the wonderful typography that they do. Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart even when it leads you off the well-worn path, and that will make all the difference.
What kind of information did we get here? Jobs is concluding his story with the lesson of the story. What is the lesson of the story? The lesson is, have faith that the dots will connect, and what you are doing now will help you in the future. Let's write a note. The dots connect. What you are doing now will help you in the future. Now, let's look at our notes and see if they make sense to us and have the most important ideas in the video. Let's read the notes. A story about connecting the dots. Why did he drop out of college? College was wasting his parents' money. Jobs took only interesting classes. Calligraphy course in college helped him design the Mac computer. The dots connect. What you are doing now will help you in the future. How can we improve our notes so that they tell a more complete story? First, let's add the name of the speaker to the first note. Steve Jobs tells a story about connecting the dots. Why did he drop out of college? College was wasting his parents' money. Here, we now may want to revise this note to better connect it. After dropping out, Jobs took only the classes that he found interesting. Calligraphy course in college helped design the Mac computer. The dots connect. What you are doing now will help you in the future. Okay, now let's label the information to help us understand the purpose of the information in a note. The first note is the topic. Steve Jobs tells us a story about connecting the dots. Let's write topic here as a label. The second and third notes can be taken together. Why did he drop out? Because he didn't want to waste his parents' money. This is his own personal history. And this information sets up the rest of the story. The next two notes can also be taken together. They sort of fix the problem that started with him dropping out, part of his personal story, and bring the story to a happy ending. As you can see, both of the notes are now together. In the end, it all worked out for Steve Jobs. Let's label the notes a happy ending. And the last note is the moral of the story. And so basically, the main idea of the story is that the dots or events in your life will connect. Soon, we'll ask you to watch the video for a second time. When you do, you will notice how much of it you already understand. After you watch the video for the second time, stop and think. You can fill in or revise information that you feel is missing in your notes. But first, let's sum up here. So, what did we learn about taking notes? We learned that while you watch a video, you should stop and think from time to time. Focus on important points. Stop the video and ask yourself questions like, what is this about? What is the author saying about that? Write down what you understand. After you finish watching the whole video, stop and think again. Label your notes so that you can understand the purpose of the information in the note. Ask yourself what kind of information it is and why it is important. Then, watch the video again and make sure you understand the information well. How do you know if you understand the information well? You can try and retell the story. That's a good way to be sure you understand the video. Now, watch the video for a second time and fill in any gaps in understanding you may have. Keep taking notes. Happy note-taking, and don't forget to stop and think.